Alright guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. I wasn't actually planning on making a video today, but a tweet came out from Ubisoft earlier talking about Ubisoft Quartz, which may or may not affect The Division 2. I suspect it will probably affect all of Ubisoft's portfolio at some point. So I think it's worth talking about in terms of the effect it might have on The Division 2 and just the overall gaming effect it might have. Now, Ubisoft Quartz is basically the first kind of AAA NFT. And I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know much about NFTs myself. When this trailer dropped, as you can see, it's actually unlisted at the minute. Jason Schreier actually posted this, so I went on it, and initially it did have the dislike, because if you didn't know, they've actually got rid of the dislikes here, so you can't see how many dislikes it's got. Initially it did have it, and the dislikes on this were just bombed. I mean, it got absolutely dislike bombed into oblivion. But yeah, NFTs are something that's going to be coming to gaming, and it appears that Ubisoft are the first AAA developer to implement it into their game. And what I wanted to do, guys, first is watch this trailer that they've, as I said, which is unlisted, and then we'll talk about what an NFT is from my best knowledge, and we'll go over some articles so that I'm not rambling myself. So we'll go over what some other people have said. So let's just get into this one, guys. This is probably going to affect The Division 2 at some point. So let's go here. So they're calling their NFTs digits. And it's coming to Ghost Recon Breakpoint first. So there you go. And of course, importantly, as it said at the end, this is just the beginning. Now, Ubisoft have been talking about introducing NFTs to their games for a long time, along with other studios like EA. It does appear as though Ubisoft have, well, as we know, they're the first ones to do it, so they've pulled the trigger here. And what I will say, guys, is I don't know anything about NFTs. I really don't. And following this video, I had to do a bit of research myself, speak to a couple of people on Twitter as well about what this stuff is. There's actually a video from that Abrex Gaming, and this was on the 13th of November 2021, and he kind of talked about what NFTs are, their effect on gaming. As you can see from the title here, play to earn, and that's kind of what it feels like. But what I wanted to do, guys, is we're going to go over some articles here, and we can learn, for anyone who doesn't know what an NFT is, learn what the impact this is going to have on gaming. There is the gaming experience and the impact it'll have on that, but also the environmental experience, or the way this might affect the environment as well, which is something that has to be considered. So let's get straight into that, guys. All right, so firstly, we got this article from IGN. Ubisoft announces Quartz, a blockchain-powered NFT cosmetic system. Ubisoft has announced its first foray into the world of blockchain technology and NFTs called Ubisoft Quartz. It will offer limited edition cosmetic items for Ubisoft games that can then be resold on third-party marketplaces for cryptocurrency. It will launch in beta on December 9th, starting with the items for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Obviously, it says here they're called digits, and each is a limited edition in-game cosmetic item. What I will say there, guys, is that initially this is starting off as a in-game cosmetic item. This is a beta, as it were, but that's not to say that it won't become something more than that, right? You know how this way we've had loot boxes, which, for a period of time they were kind of pay to win, and in many games they were pay to win. After a lot of people obviously complained about that, a lot of developers went more to a kind of cosmetic stuff, even though people were still unhappy with that. People were more accepting of that. So it wouldn't surprise me if later on down the line this goes away from cosmetic stuff and actually becomes stuff that's going to affect the game itself. and very much become almost a pay-to-win scenario. There are games currently where it is very much a pay-to-win scenario with this. These are indie games and stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that, especially if EA get in there. We know how greedy they are. So it says here, for example, a rifle may have its number on the magazine, or a helmet could be engraved across the rim. Furthermore, embedded in the digit's metadata is your Ubisoft Connect username. As a digit is sold to new owners, their usernames are added to the metadata, creating a history of ownership for the NFT. In addition to the in-game cosmetic item, a digit also comes with a video file showing the item being used in-game. So with the Ghost Recon one, they've got the wolf skin for the M4A1 tactical rifle, a helmet and a pair of pants. These digits will be provided for free, although most must be claimed within a limited time window. It's on December 9th, 12th and 15th. Additionally, players must fulfill certain criteria, etc, etc, etc. And it says here, Ubisoft's blockchain business and product director explains the idea is to focus on our most engaged players with the first batch. This approach aims to ensure digits are obtained by genuine Ubisoft players and not those just looking to trade with them on third-party marketplaces. Users are also limited to owning just one of each digit, further reinforcing scarcity and denying the ability to farm collectibles. Obviously, what does scarcity get? Breeds FOMO, guys. It's that fear of missing out, which this will absolutely bring to any game that this is introduced to, is that FOMO, something that people really don't like. And it says Ubisoft Quartz will launch in beta, and while there are plans for further digits drops in 2022, I was shown a collection of handguns, helmets, rifles, and even vehicles for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So way more coming for Breakpoint. It's clear this system is very early in development and experimental in nature. That means, at least for now, this focuses on cosmetics rather than any kind of blockchain-based gameplay systems. For now. It says, for what we're doing now, there'll be no impact on the gameplay. And as I said, that's for now, but that doesn't mean that that's going to change at some point later. But why exactly does Ubisoft want to get into the blockchain and NFT business? The publisher's Strategic Innovation Lab says that has to do with making players stakeholders and value into their hands. From what I can tell, guys, everyone is unhappy with this system. Everyone is unhappy, for the most part, for this being added to games. And I think the main thing that I'm getting from it is that it's just another cash cow. And there's that FOMO involved, and ultimately it's just going to worsen the gaming experience. And games are just being made now for money, and that's purely it. And this is a big step in that direction. It says Ubisoft Quartz is the first building block in our ambitious vision for developing a true metaverse. From an outside perspective, it's initially difficult to see what Ubisoft can gain from this. With the NFTs being given away for free, at least in the first drop, the publisher stands to make no direct money. But that's like anything, you know. If you're a drug dealer, right? Not that I've ever been one there, but I watched a lot of shows. What they normally do initially is you put out a couple of feelers, a couple of free packages, and then people like it, whatever it is, and they come back to you, and then you start charging. And this is very much what's going to happen here, right? They're going to put out feelers, right? And it's going to be free, and people are going to be, oh, it's free, don't worry about it. And they'll keep doing that, and eventually they'll start putting prices in. Maybe a tenner here, and that'll go up over time, and depending on demand, of course. It says, however, the value for the company may come from beyond the NFTs themselves, should future digits also require hundreds of hours of gameplay to unlock. This could be a way to encourage a pro NFT crowd to pay huge amounts of Ubisoft games, which could in turn lead to the purchase of microtransaction items, DLC upgrades, and even other games. So there's this thing as well, is that if they make these NFTs so scarce, or like here where you've got a really in-game challenge, then there's the possibility that Ubisoft might charge quite a lot for them to do that, to get to that NFT, because they know that that NFT is going to be valuable to that person, who then, if they sold it on their marketplace, might actually recoup their money, if not more. An even more pressing question is that of Ubisoft Quartz's environmental impact, although the publisher's strategic lab assures us that it is doing its due diligence to make the system energy efficient. I mean, we all know that they want to make it as energy efficient as possible, but it won't be. It just won't. Quartz has been built on the Tesos blockchain network, which uses a proof-of-stake system designed to be more energy efficient than the proof-of-work system used by blockchains such as the Bitcoin network. And it says here, earlier this year, Ubisoft announced its blockchain plans with the term play to earn, a concept we can see in action with Quartz's demands for hundreds of players, 100 hours play to unlock its digits. While the company's move into blockchain is the first in the AAA space, the games industry has already been toying with the idea. In response, Valve has stamped down on the concept, and Steam banning blockchain games that issue NFTs. Epic Games, meanwhile, is okay with blockchain games. And lots of people have come out against this, not just players, but publishers and heads. I think even the head of Xbox has said that this could be really bad for gaming. But you know what? Ubisoft are going to do what they want to do, and from what I can tell on this, I mean, I don't know much about NFTs, guy, but from what I can tell, this is not a good step for a gamer, right? This is all about making as much money as possible. And that's all that these businesses do, and these are businesses, right? I no longer look at them as game developers or anything like that. I look at them as businesses trying to make as much money as possible. And if they're putting something in a game, most of the time it's because they stand to make a profit from it. And rarely is it the case that it's just because they want to give the players a better experience or whatever it might be. But I do want to go over one other thing, and it's another article which really explains how NFTs can be a detriment to the gaming world. Alright, last article, guys. Video games as NFTs are bad for the environment and fans. This comes from Screen Rant, and this comes from April 29th, 2021. NFT stands for non-fungible token, a technology that allows authenticating digital goods via blockchain. The benefit ideally is that creators can sell art, music, or other content in a way that isn't easily copied since ownership has to be transferred. Blockchain makes this data virtually uncrackable. In fact, Christie's recently auctioned off a piece of digital art for £69 million, and businesses like the NBA have begun selling their own NFTs. Here you go, guys. So it says the short-term problem for fans is that the profit potential for gaming NFTs is so high. Collectibles, which might otherwise be bundleable with games or sold as physical objects, will probably be held back and then sold as NFTs, basically. For Sega, that could hypothetically include some of the original production sketches of Sonic or a game's original soundtrack. Most DLCs now include maybe an original soundtrack. I think Warlords of New York included the original soundtrack. But what they're saying here is that with this system in place, there's the possibility that this will be something that you'd actually have to earn in-game as an NFT. Who knows? Neither is strictly necessary to anyone, but selling them as an NFTs to a few hundred buyers would keep them out of the public's reach for years. Even worse would be producing limited edition games. It's possible, guys, where the last owner unable to remember their login or otherwise manage ownership, that version of the game would be lost forever. There are similar issues with the conventional DRM, but NFTs are by definition restricted runs, unlike something on Steam or the PlayStation Store. And just getting into the environment side here, the deeper crisis is that NFTs are usually tied to cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin. In that previous article, they said that the way their blockchain works isn't the same as Bitcoin, and it's actually meant to be more environmentally friendly, although I'd like to see how much more, because it would need to be significantly more for it to even be considered friendly to the environment. Mining cryptocurrency is extremely inefficient. The University of Cambridge notes that for Bitcoin alone, annual power consumption is forecast to hit roughly 129 terawatt hours. I don't know how much that is, but I presume that is a lot. At least some of that will have to come from non-renewable sources of energy like coal or natural gas, translating into local pollution and rising greenhouse gases. NFT vendors do, of course, have the option of paying for carbon offsets, but that doesn't solve the pollution issue and bites into the profits that motivated them. And let's be honest, guys, they're not going to do anything that bites into their profits if they don't absolutely have to. But that's it, guys. Like I said, I'd highly recommend you go check out that Abrex Gaming, because he did do a good video on NFTs and how they're going to work and stuff. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this, whether this is something that you're happy with or not. Like I said, the overall consensus that I'm seeing on Twitter and forums and stuff is that people are not happy about this whatsoever, and people who are playing Breakpoint, who are having this first, are especially not happy with what happened with Frontline recently, and now this. I think that, yeah, they're really getting the bad end of the stick here. From what I can tell, from what I'm reading, my initial thoughts on this are that all I can see are dollar signs, right? That's all I see, and I understand that as a business, they're there to make money, but not at the expense of the players, and this appears to be a huge step in that direction, where players are going to be exploited for business and for money. And I think we had the loot box situation, which died down, and this is another big one coming. But I can see this one being, other AAA game publishers are going to jump on this one as soon as possible, guys. Unless of course this gets shot down, unless of course this comes out in beta form and it really gets shot down, and I hope it does. From what I can tell, this isn't a good thing at all. So, but let me know in the comments section below, guys, if you like this idea, if this is something that you agree with, and give me the reasons why. I'd Really like to see that. I'm not, I'm not going to sit here and just, be stubborn if I see an opinion which would convert me. But from what I can tell, this isn't something that we need in gaming. That's it, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Oh, and by the way, before I go, this might come to the Division 2. That was my concern. Epic out.